This time on Andy's Motorcycle Obsessions, we try and get the lump out of the Ducati frame. G'day everybody and welcome back. Yes, I've done a fair bit of beard scratching over this one, and this is my solution. So the preferred method is to, not have the frames that I made for the to hold the motor and frame up, and simply use it like a wheelbarrow, the chassis, the main frame, as a wheelbarrow, and lower the motor down onto the ground, unbolt the frame, lift the frame back up. I'm here, I'm on my own, it's up on a lift. I'm pretty certain this is going to weigh a fair bit. I'm going to do something similar, but I'm taking the mountain to Muhammad. So what I've got is, I've got my scissor lift here, my lifting platform, couple of sleepers clamped to it, and I can support the weight of the motor and the frame on this. Then I'll unbolt the two through bolts on the motor for that are holding the motor to the chassis, and then I will try and lower this down. I've had to put a jack under here to support it, simply because it wants to lift the back of the table up. Let's give it a go. Before we get too far into this, let's address some of the mistakes that I've made so far. I made life hard for myself removing the airbox. I didn't need to take the coils and igniters off, they simply unplug. And the same goes with the starter solenoid, that didn't need to come off either. Just need to unbolt it from the starter motor and remove the plug, and the whole lot comes off as an assembly. But we're all good now, so let's keep moving with this thing, shall we? Now I think that it's going to be a bit easier on me, because by the time I lower this down or lift the frame up above it, these manifolds could give me some clearance issues. So I think that what I'll do is just remove those. I might use a socket. So there's 4 of these rubber bungs. So this one, the frame is threaded. This one has a nut. I've got a deep 14mm socket. Okay, so now the motor is just sitting on this timber. The frame is sitting on the motor right here. So theoretically, I should be able to just lift the frame away from the motor. So what I'm going to do is do that, lift it up, slide these bigger blocks of wood under here, like so. Oh, that was pretty sketchy. I just removed the hose on the crankcase breather. I'd forgotten to undo it. I just undid it and the whole motor, woo, so I've just chopped it up here. Alright, so I'm going to take it down a little piece at a time. So it starts to lift the weights off that jack. I don't want to drop this thing. Just keep doing that until I get it low enough to get it out of the frame. brakes on this table are no good, so I'm trying to get the motor over as best I can. And there it is. No strain on my back, no muss, no fuss. And we're securely on the lifting table now. Good-o. So next job, spin him around. So the next job will be to get into the belts, remove those, take the cylinder heads off and have a better look at it. But I think I better whip up some sort of a frame to hold this motor. Safety third. So I've got the motor tipped over on its side. So I can fit this frame. And I've cocked up a little bit in that I didn't really think about how thick the mounts were on the frame itself. I drilled an oversized hole in here so I could sit the engine mount bolt down in there and the nut on the other side, but it's a bit long. So we've kind of had to do something dodgy. And hopefully the frame will be strong enough and it won't bend here. If it does, I'll have to weld some gussets in. Oh, should be good. Alright, I think that's pretty good. Now I'm going to try and get it off these sleepers. Okay, let's get these covers off. I removed the cover on the end of the crankshaft on the other side. I don't have the special tool for putting in the end of the crank and rotating the engine to line up the timing marks. So I just use a M8 bolt with a nut, a lock nut, and a couple of washers to facilitate that. It seems to work okay. Okie dokie, that's the belts removed. Try and put this thing on its timing marks. I left these white marks on the pulleys when I did put the new belts on. So we're looking to line this white dot up with this mark in the crankcase. Okay, so that is now aligned with the timing mark, and there's a little plastic pimple here on the side of the casing, and that lines up with that one, and the same here. So we're now on top dead center on the vertical cylinder. So now if we take a 6mm in-hex socket, we can release the belts here. Actually, we're at top dead center on the horizontal cylinder, not the vertical. What I want to do before I go and pull these belts off is just identify them. This is the horizontal. I'm just writing that on the belt. This is the vertical. Writing that on the belt. And let's remove this guy. So horizontal, and we've now got 2 timing marks. This one here is a bit difficult to get to and see where that lines up, so I'm going to mark it 1, 2 teeth back. That jumps because it's actually rocking, and this one is on top dead center. So I'm going to make sure that I note that this is 2 back. Because when however long it's going to take before we get the belts, that's important. I'll forget otherwise. Right. Okay, so now I want to remove the cylinder heads and have a bit better look. When I mentioned earlier that it was on top dead center on the horizontal cylinder and rocking on the vertical, what I meant by that term was that it's transitioning between exhaust and intake. So the exhaust valve's closing, the intake's opening. That's the rocking that I referred to. Whereas this end, the cam is free because it's on top dead center about where our spark plug's going to fire. All right, let's start with the horizontal cylinder and start that by removing this oil cooler. Just remove these rubber isolating bushes as well. Just keep it all together. Just cutting the dingus end off a couple of rubber glove fingers. They're a bit big to fit on there, all on their own, so I'll just cable tie them on. Probably don't have to do that, but it is your oil gallery. Oh, this is a pain in the ass. Oh, I can get my ring spanner on there, or the ring end of an open end ring spanner. Just going to try and crack. Being careful, I don't want to whack that. Okay. You have to use the open end. I could remove the end of the cam bearing there, but it's to get the ring spanner on, but I've got that now. I did spray these with wizard's piss and let them soak for a night or two. Okay. Washers. I might have to end up taking off that that cover. Let's see how easily I can extract this. There we go. All the smooth. I'm reasonably happy to see that the top of the piston isn't caked in crap. There's a dowel here with a little hole in it. That's part of your oil gallery. Well, that is feeding the oil up to your cylinder head, and this is the return. And there's no head gaskets on the Ducati. Alright, so got quite a bit of carbon poop on the valves, but we'll have a closer look at that shortly. Let's remove the vertical cylinder. I don't own the special tool to retension these heads, so I will either have to make one or buy one. Come on. A lot of carbon build up on that one too, just quietly. Possibly even more than this cylinder. Alright, I see something I don't particularly like, but what I'm going to do while the piston's down in the bore a little bit, just going to drop this head back on for a sec. Because I want to try and flip it over 180 degrees, because I want the cam in the top, like a top dead center position. Pull starting a lawnmower. Alright, lift him back off again. So what is it that you see, Andy, that you don't like, you might ask? I see a scratch. I feel it. I can physically feel it. Like there's no wear in these bores, but there is a scratch. I'm not sure, yeah, I'm pretty sure you can see that on the camera. It's definitely there. This one too. Goes all the way down. All right, let's there's no getting away from it. We're going to have to take these barrels off and see what we're looking at. Come on. Well, I have to say I'm surprised. I really thought I'd be looking at fractured rings. Skirts aren't terrible. I'll try and jam a rags in there, stop all the debris falling in. I don't want to push the debris in there either. Just be gentle with the piston around those studs. Alright, so we've got everything torn down, pistons out, barrels off, cylinder heads off. I'm going to wrap that up here. In the next episode, we'll dig a little bit deeper and see if we can't find a smoking gun. I do have some scoring on these Nicosil cylinders. Just how bad that is, we'll inspect a little closer, and then we'll strip all the shims out of the head, free the valves up in the guides, and see how much wear there is in there. But that's for episode 4. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and comment, and I'll catch you next time on Andy's Motorcycle Obsessions. Bye for now.